What's going on, guys? New York Sports up here, and I'm back at it with another New York sports video. So today in this video, I'm going to be going over why I think New York sports will have a better decade in 2020. So we all know about the 2010s, how poor New York sports was. I mean, going over each team, starting off with baseball. I mean, the New York Mets, once again, have kind of been a laughingstock. I mean, this offseason, they made the World Series in 2015, but lost to the Kansas City Royals. And they kind of lost in dramatic fashion. And, I think Lucas Duda threw the ball away for the tying run to score in the ninth inning. They left Matt Harvey in. They left Matt Harvey in for the ninth inning, and then he blew it. I think the Mets might have had a 2-0 lead. I don't remember what it was, but they had like a 2-run lead or a 1-run lead going into the ninth. They blew it, and they ended up losing the World Series in 5 games. And then you have the New York Yankees. I mean, the past 3 years, they have had heartbreaking exits. I mean, all three, possibly the series losses, could have been rigged, due to the whole cheating with the Astros and the Red Sox. But overall, the Yankees did not have a successful decade. Did not win a World Series. They did win a World Series the year before the decade started, but once again, that was a kind of a bought championship. We had a lot of free agents that we brought in. We kind of spent all our money off of. And, you play in New York, you got a lot of money, and New York sports just has not been good, kind of since 2009, 2008, And as for basketball, don't get me started on the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks have been awful, and they're probably one of the worst franchises in sports. Probably the worst team in the NBA. They're terrible. The Brooklyn Nets haven't been too great. The Brooklyn Nets had a bad year. I think around 2017, 2018. I think they were one of the worst teams. And the Nets do have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but it doesn't look like they'll be playing. Durant won't be playing. Doesn't look like he'll be playing much this year, if not at all. Kyrie Irving, once again, has been pretty solid, but the Nets don't really have any good players besides him. And for hockey, the Rangers have been pretty solid this decade, but they haven't really won anything, and neither have the Islanders. So overall, I mean, New York sports has not been good. And football, the Giants have won a championship in this decade. That was back in 2011. That was the last championship New York sports has seen, and that's just sad. I mean, you have a lot of other cities winning championships way before 2011. States like, Boston, and the Red Sox have won a ton of championships. The Patriots have won championships. The Boston Celtics, I think, are the most team in the NBA with the most championships. They might be tied with the Lakers. And overall, Boston sports has won a lot, and New York sports really hasn't. And we all know New York sports has to improve. I think they will this decade. We've got a lot of young teams. We'll start off with football. And we'll start off with the New York Jets. I think New York Jets have a lot of young talent. They've got Sam Darnold, who I think is a very good quarterback. I think he can be a very solid quarterback in this league. They got a really solid defense. I think the Jets are one of the more underrated teams. I think they will be a playoff team in 2021 when they have an easier schedule. And as for the New York Giants, I think the New York Giants are another team heading in the right direction. I'm going to be making a video pretty soon that I think Daniel Jones will be a Super Bowl champion at some point in his career. I think Daniel Jones is a clutch quarterback. I really like him. And I think the Giants have a really good future ahead of them, and so do the New York Jets. And as for hockey, I think the Islanders are having a good season. I don't know. They might have been on like a down year. They might have been kind of having like a down skid before the season got delayed. But the Islanders were having a good season. I don't really know too much about the New York Rangers. And as for basketball, the Nets might have a good future. They might have a good season next year when Kevin Durant returns. Kevin Durant's one of the best players in the NBA. Might be one of the best shooters of all time. I'm a big Kevin Durant fan. I think the Nets will be pretty solid next year. And for the New York Knicks, they're the one team I'm not confident about being good this year because they have not been good in over 2 decades. So the Knicks are just a sad franchise. Not really much to say about that. But overall, for New York sports, I think the New York sports have a good decade ahead of them. For baseball, the New York Mets, once again, had a disappointing season last year. Did have a run at the end of the year. But overall, we're pretty disappointing. But this year, I think they're a playoff team. I think they could be a wild card team. They got a really good pitching staff with Jacob deGrom. They did lose Syndergaard to an injury, but they got Marcus Stroman. They signed Rick Porcello in the offseason, who didn't have a good year last year, but I think he can bounce back. I think the Mets will be a solid team next year. They got Pete Alonso, they got Conforto, they got Jeff McNeil, they got J.D. Davis on the offense. I think the Mets are a really good offensive ball club. I think they can be a wild card team this year. And maybe the Braves have a disappointing season. They win the division title. And you never know with the Mets. Maybe they could have a good season. Maybe they'll have a disappointing season again because they are the Mets. But I think the Mets have the talent to be a playoff team this year. And as for the Yankees, and it looks like the Yankees are the favorites to win the World Series. I think they will win the World Series this year. If everybody can stay healthy, I think the Yankees could win the World Series pretty easily with the Astros. We'll probably have a dysfunctional year this year because of all the cheating. So personally, I think the Yankees will win the World Series in 2020 if we do eventually have a season. And the Yankees always pretty much have a bright future because they haven't been under 500, I think, since the 90s. I mean, They haven't been under 500 in forever, so they're one of the more consistent teams. They're the best franchise in all of sports, and personally, I think New York sports is a great sports city. They just got to improve. They just had a bad decade in 2010s. We all know New York sports used to be so good. It used to be one of the best sports cities, and it's just been so bad. We all want New York sports to improve. I think it will improve in this decade, in the whole 2020s. We will see championships from the New York Yankees, the New York Giants, one from the New York Jets, and one from the New York Mets. I think overall we will get some championships this decade. So overall, that's going to do it for this one. Just wanted to make this video that I think New York sports will improve in the decade, the 2020s. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.